Well, welcome everybody to Acquios Advisors / Acquios Alliance webinar on finding freedom from vision plans. Rick Guinotte here with Acquios Advisors and Acquios Alliance, along with Steve Alexander from Anagram. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Rick. Really excited to have this conversation. I think finding freedom from vision plans is something that is a bit of a hot topic in the industry, certainly what Anagram spends a lot of its time focused on.
Well, as ironic as this sounds, Steve, 3 of my 4 phone calls this morning have focused around this very topic with our clients. It seems like over the past four weeks or so, it's, people are starting to really analyze and look at and question the whys and what they want in their practice and what they really want to be able to achieve in their practice, not only for themselves, but also for their patient base as well. So as we go through this today, I think it's important just to kind of spell out the steps that we're going to be reviewing over the next 45 minutes to an hour with everybody. One is to how to create a plan, and be able to understand what you need to do as you analyze these vision plans that you're accepting in your offices. How to identify, the plans that you're accepting that might be a little bit lesser than great, but ultimately understand that, if you work hard and you work forward with the plan that Steve and I are going to be discussing, you're going to be able to free yourself from all vision plans and be in full control of your practice. We're going to talk a little bit about even creating your own in-house savings program. That's important to have in order to be able to bridge from taking all the plans that you have to be able to retain your patients and be able to keep those patients coming back in. There are some do's and don'ts we're going to cover in that, because it's very important that you follow certain rules and guidelines so you don't get your practice into any trouble that you don't want to have. And then, of course, we're going to discuss, the amazing services that Anagram provides for doctors as they work forward and get to that point where, I want to drop this plan and you guys participate with this, and I want to be able to often still get these patients back in using their out-of-network benefits. So we're going to talk a bit about that as well. First and foremost, I think it's important that we talk about the why. And I love going through this exercise, and many of you who've heard me speak probably have heard me go through this exercise in the past, but I think it's a good reminder. I think it's important to understand where your money goes in your practice. And what I mean by that is understanding for every $100 you collect, it doesn't go to your bank account. And that's what a lot of people think, right? Your staff included. So I think it's important that you understand for every $100 that you collect, that on average, some offices are going to be better, some are going to be worse than this. But let's just pretend $25 of that goes to cost of goods. $10 of that goes to your fixed expenses. Fixed expenses being rent, lease payments, payments that you have to make to the bank for your instruments that you own, and so on. Another $20 goes to staff expenses. So if you take that $100 minus the $25, you're at $75. Minus the $10 for fixed expenses, you're down to $65 remaining. Of course, you need to pay your staff. That's another 20% or $20 for every 100 that you collect. So now you're down to what, $45 left, Steve, right?
Yep.
So then you take another $20 for variable operating expenses, marketing, things you might outsource in your business, and so on. Pens, papers, cleaners, all that good stuff. So out of that $100 that you have left, or that you collected, you have about $25 left. Okay. So every dollar matters. Every dollar matters. So I want you to kind of remember that $25 number as we kind of go through some math here, because when you go through an exercise and you start to value and look at how much money each vision plan is really generating for your office, you need to say, okay, we might be getting this much money, but after we pay all of our bills, what is really left over? And I'll go through an exercise that I just did with a client just last week here in just a quick second. So again, you want to be able to maximize your cash flow, and not just for yourself, but for your team and for further investments in your practice. And to do so, you need to be working smarter, not harder, okay? So an actual exercise here, on 20 patients, this particular office collected from a third-party plan $2,755. That comes out to $137 per patient that they collected. $137 per patient. If I take all of the expenses out of that $137 and take that times 25%, that's what they're putting to their net line. So if you take that 137, that's only $32 making it to the bottom line. What's your time worth, doctors? What is your your time worth? Excuse me, $34. $34. And out of that $34, you pay yourself and then you pay taxes. You need to be able to reinvest in your practice to make things better for you. So as we go through this today, you need to be thinking of long term. How do you align yourself to make yourself better? And I think one of the key things to do is be able to figure out how to identify what patients or what plans you're taking and what they're generating. So to do that, there's a couple reports you'll need to run in your EHR. One of them is your receipts, is your insurance. Excuse me, let me back up. One of the reports you need to run is a report that will show you how many patients you saw by vision plan. And I typically recommend people doing a 12-month period of time. So I would run that report from April 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, okay? Run those reports and let's see how many patients you've seen by insurance plan. Now, some EHRs are good enough. They're gonna tell you how much money you even generated by insurance plan payments in that same document. If it's not, you'll need to run a report that will show you how much money did you generate by vision plan, and then we'll divide the number of patients into the amount of money that you collected from plan. Now remember, patients do pay out of pocket in addition to, right? So we'll have to do an audit. Once we identify kind of the bottom 3 or 4, in my opinion, what we would performing vision plans, that's when we'll do an audit of say 20 to 30 patients and see how much money did those patients pay out of pocket on average. Now, when you do that review, I think it's also important that you say, we need to figure out, different demographics. I mean, don't do everybody over the age of 50 because that's going to be patients that are typically in multifocal lenses, AR coding, may have a little bit more cash flow in their home. You want to do 20 to 30 patients, break it out into different demographics of patients that you're seeing so that you're getting a true snapshot of an overall year of the patients that are coming through your doors. So again, different ages, different genders, make sure you're mixing it up. Figure out what the revenue per patient is paid out of pocket by those patients, and that will allow you to be able to add that number to the money that they paid compared to the money you collected from the insurance plan by patient to really get a good understanding of what you're really accepting or what you're really collecting by vision plan. I have seen some offices as low as $70 or $80 per vision plan per patient when they go through this exercise. And that's before they take all those expenses out. So remember, what's your pre-tax net number? Multiply that revenue per patient by that percentage and understand what you're truly making with that plan per patient. Every one of your appointment book slots is of value to your practice. So, look at the number of patients that you're seeing and identify how many patients you're seeing per year on those plans. If it only averages out to 15, 20 patients per month, it's a pretty safe bet you can replace 15 to 20 patients a month and retain some of them if you drop that patient base or drop that vision plan and have them come back in by offering an in-house vision savings plan that'll give them a set price for an eye exam, a set discount for their for their frames and lenses. I don't usually recommend ever giving discounts on contact lenses. Your contact lens margins are far too tight. So what you do is give a discount on the services, on the fit fees that you're doing. So you can even promote that to directly to businesses. But there's also another option for you to do as well. And that's obviously, and remember this, when you drop the vision plans, you are now creating more cash pay patients for your practice, which means you're getting the money today versus waiting 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Did we fill the claim out properly? Did it go through the clearinghouse correctly? Was it received? Are there adjustments? Is there a surprise adjustment that the vision plan changed on us that we were unaware of? So creating an in-house vision savings program, those here at Acquios Advisors, we have tools to help you create that, and we'll help you develop that one-on-one with you. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@acquios.com. That's info@acquios.com. We'll be happy to send you information on how to create that. And of course, we have services that will help a person do that as well. Ultimately, one of the best things you can do with going out of network is partner with somebody like Anagram and be able to have them help you better understand how they can work with you to be able to say, we are available to all patients. As you drop these vision plans and you get to the bigger ones that have more patients that you're seeing per year, you definitely want to do this. We have multiple clients that have done wonderful with Anagram. Dr. Stephanie Parrish out of Minnesota, she signed up with Anagram day one when she opened her practice and is doing wonderful. There's a doctor down in Kansas. They dropped a VSP just recently. That was the last of their major vision plans that they dropped, and they are loving life. We are seeing great success with Anagram from the mid-plains to the East Coast and West Coast. And that was one of the reasons we wanted to partner with Steve and Anagram today to share some of the successes for people out there. Because again, as you look at the changes many of these vision plans are making, it's my opinion here, but they're looking out for themselves as opposed to looking out for the betterment of the patients and betterment of the practices. You've got them owning chain locations. They have their online sales. Who knows what's next? Amazon? Who knows? So let's see. So Steve, tell me a little bit about how you got started with Anagram and some of the success stories and kind of the processes you work with on clients as they work through dropping the vision plans and becoming more independent for themselves.
Sure. Thanks for that, Rick. Thanks for the introduction as well. A little background on me for those attending who I've not had the chance to meet or have never heard me speak. I've been in eye care since I was 16. I started as an optician and have worked my way up to regional management, to consulting. I've seen a lot of different facets of the industry. And about 4 years ago, I was working as a consultant when I heard of Anagram. It was called Patch at the time. And it was presented to me as a software platform that could pull out of network vision benefits for a patient. The platform has evolved over time. So now it not only pulls the benefits, but also allows you to file the claims and has an internal calculator so that you and the patient know at all times what the patient's costs are going to be. So for me, when I heard about this is an immediate game changer because for years I had felt and then heard from my clients that vision plans are a necessary evil, something that you kind of have to do to run your business. And while I didn't necessarily agree then, it was hard to say that it wasn't necessary. Every 150 million patients have some kind of vision plan, and to say no to them is a mistake, right? Or at least that was the common knowledge. But the truth is, you don't have to say no to those patients just because you're not in network. And Anagram is the mechanism by which you can say no to the vision plan's arbitrary rules and reimbursement structures and the requirements that you carry frames that they own or sell lenses that they make. Again, Rick, like you said, for their own benefit. It's not to benefit the patient, certainly not to benefit the doctor. it's to benefit their other revenue streams. I think the other point that you made was really well stated is that vision plans are buying practices right next door to you. You know, VSP bought VisionWorks, and we all know what IMED owns, you know, and that's only going to expand. So the more we can do as an industry to find our way free of the rules and limitations imposed on us by vision plans, the more likely we will be healthy into the next year.
You know, and you bring up a great point, Steve. You know, again, you know, VSP buying VisionWorks, IMED obviously in bed with Luxottica and Essilor, with LensCrafters, Pearl, Target, and so on. Iconic, owned by VSP, opened brick and mortar locations there in Chicago a couple of years back. It's interesting to see where they're heading. And you know, and I like to use, this may be a bad analogy to use, but it truly is. I think it summarizes how people view vision plans. And far too often, Steve, I think too many people look at their appointment books and go, "Hey, we've got a full book," and they think that's a great thing. Well, a full book, it doesn't mean it's always a profitable book. And when you look at some of the adjustments being made and changes being made by the vision plans on what they'll reimburse, what labs to use, when to use, how to use, what products, so on and so forth, you know, the office is kind of, in my opinion, losing an identity. And you know, where I was going when I started this little spiel, I guess, is, you know, people are addicted to that full book. You know, it's safe. I know I'm going to be busy tomorrow. Well, there's other tools that you can be doing in your office to make sure that your appointment books are full. Obviously, pre-appointing is one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best ways to retain your patients. If you pre-appoint your patients, you'll be booked, you know, 25% over every year easily, and that's a conservative number. What I mean by that is, if you're a brand new office and you saw 5 patients today and you pre-appoint 4 of the 5 patients because the one person doesn't have any health issues, well, if you booked 4 there for next year, a year from now, you're going to see 6 or 7 patients that next day. That, again, that's an easy number to come up with. So pre-appointing really works, but using Anagram, again, makes you more accessible to all versus only to some, and saying no to some and saying yes to others. So Anagram really opens the door and makes it more inviting for the patient or the person calling to your practice, that you're not going to say, "No, I don't accept this." No, we're going to find a way to help you, right?
Right, absolutely. And I think the full appointment book is a really important point to discuss fully. I think when a lot of practices accept every major vision plan and fill the chair, like the refrain has been for so long in you know, common industry knowledge, what ends up happening is they build the structure. Practices tend to build a structure so they can see 4 full exams in an hour. So they have their technicians or their scribes, and they're seeing 4 patients an hour plus emergencies if they come in. So up to 6 patients in an hour. And I think there's a hidden cost to that. In addition to not being profitable to do it that way on a per patient basis, there's a hidden cost of lost opportunities for patients who don't want to wait around to pick out a pair of glasses, or we can't have the second pair conversation, or we can't talk about getting some contact lenses for a patient, because we are so strapped for time to see these patients in our full book that we're not giving them the experience that they deserve. And it's not me making a judgment call. We don't have time to give the patients the kind of experience that we want to give them, because the vision plans have said an eye exam is just a health check, a refraction, maybe a dilation, where we know there's so much more to be done for the visual system to make sure the patient is healthy. It's not about churning numbers through your books. You're trying to take care of people. And I think vision plans have made an ecosystem wherein actual patient care is an afterthought. And that's actually quite unfortunate.
And you hit the nail on the head there. You know, I've worked with multiple clients through the years that we're seeing 4, 5, 6 patients per hour. Yeah, they bring in a lot of money, but when you look at the per patient revenue they're bringing in, they're working very hard for very little per patient. And when we can help the client to help them slow the book down and be able to spend more quality time with that patient, both throughout the patient production cycle in the clinic, but also in optical, like you said, Steve, you do a better job with lifestyle education, helping the patient understand what other products are available to be able to help them. Instead of becoming order takers to the vision plans, you do what's better for the patients and better for their whole quality of life. And I think that's what, if most optometrists looked in the mirror and said, why did I get into this industry, in this profession specifically, they're going to say, I wanted to help people see better and make sure their quality of life is great. And I wanted to have a balanced life myself. And these vision plans have made it tough to do so because they're dictating your price. I mean, when one vision plan says you get this much money towards a frame, you get this much on your second pair, who's offering that savings? Is it
Right.
the vision plan, or is it the doctor himself? I personally think it should be the doctor doing a favor for his or her patient base and saying, here's the percentage I want to give off for multiple pairs, not what this plan says I should do. Okay. Right. So you can be your own boss. But one of the key things, Steve, I think a lot of people get nervous about is, my books are full. How, if I drop this vision plan, my patients won't stay with me.
Right.
That is the biggest push I get. I'm sure you hear it as well.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting point to talk about on just a personal level. I think there are numbers to consider in the risk of dropping a vision plan, but from a personal point of view, if I'm a doctor and there's a subset of vision plans that I don't want to take, let me pick one out of the air, Spectera, for example. I don't want to take it, but I'm afraid of losing my Spectera patients. If that's the case, if I'm afraid of losing them by dropping their vision plan, then they're not really my patient. They're Spectera's patients that I'm taking care of because I take it on an in-network basis. And Spectera would agree with that assessment, actually. The vision plans view their enrollees as their patients, and the doctors that service them are sort of incidental.
And I agree with what you just said 100%, but the other piece is, doctors out there listening, staff members, remind the doctors of your practices, the patients are there to see you. They're not there because of the name on the exterior of the building. They're not there because of the vision plan. The vision plan may have gotten them in the first time. I'll give you credit there. I'll give a little bit of credence there. However, once they build that relationship and you have, and you deliver a great patient experience to them, they're going to stay with you for a long time and hopefully for life. So, and doctors are amazed when they go through and they do decide to drop that vision plan. We have a letter template that we not only send to the vision plan to say, hey, on behalf of ABC Eye Care, we're going to be dropping your vision plan. We have that letter template ready to go. We have a letter template ready to go to send out to the patient base that says, hey, patient, we apologize for this, but because of business, changes in business and the economic state we find ourselves in, aka increasing wages for employees, we needed to make, I wouldn't put that in the letter, but we have had to make a decision. And unfortunately, we're going to be dropping your plan, but we appreciate you as a patient. We want to invite you back into our practice, and here's what we're going to do for you. And when that letter goes out to the patients that you have pre-appointed, the patients that are in your database, most patients they might be disappointed, but you'd be surprised to hear most patients still come back to the practice for that examination and to buy eyewear. The other thing that's exciting and I'll use the office, a few offices that we've worked with that have dropped all vision plans. When you drop all vision plans, you know what you get to do? You get to reduce the markup that you have on your frames and your lens pricing. You're now in control of your pricing. You're not marking it up because of the discount of this vision plan or that vision plan and so on and so forth. You are now doing what's best for your patients. And if you talk to when I talked to that office that dropped VSP back in November or so, I mean, their opticians were scared to death to do it. I mean, I was shocked. I'm like, why are you guys nervous? Your life just got so much easier. You don't have to now submit all these claims and tie that in with your patient production cycle. It's the total is, will that be cash, check, charge, or care credit? And you go silent. So it makes your employees' days that much easier when you don't take it. And again, your markup becomes very less. So you're giving patients great pricing at a great practice with great technology for the eye exams, and you're in a win-win situation now for your patients, and you're in control.
Yeah, if I could add to that, so not just that your markup can go down, but your overall complexity of pricing goes away. Our prices, industry prices, are the way they are because they have to respond to vision plans. So if you think about the way a VSP plan is structured, a patient gets a frame allowance of some dollar amount and then 20% off of the difference, unless they get a Marchand frame, for example. Then they get a $150 allowance and then 20% off the difference. When a patient sees the back and forth that the optician has to go through to tell them what their pricing is going to be, it can't help but be confusing, right? So we want to simplify this as much as possible for the patient for clarity. The quicker you can get a patient to yes, the better for all parties concerned. And when you have to go back and forth on pricing, it confuses the issue. One other thing I want to add in terms of simplicity is right now, if I'm in network with all the major vision plans, I'm probably working with upwards of 5 labs, 6 labs. And on its own, that doesn't sound like a ton because the chargebacks and the service fees are all taken care of internally. So I'm not really paying those bills, but I do have to open 5 different boxes every day or every other day and have to adjust for the quality of work that I'm getting from these labs. And we know that vision plan accepting labs are not all created equal. And let's just talk about the benefits of local economics. We're talking to largely local businesses, mom and pop type shops that want their local businesses, their local customers supporting local business. Doesn't it make sense for us to do the same? And the vision plans preclude us from doing that, actually.
I want to go back to something you said about simplifying your pricing. One of the biggest challenges we have in private practice is training staff. And when you're trying to train an optician that already has to learn all the different products that are available and so on, and then you have to teach them how to interpret this vision plan versus this vision plan, this one and that one, it's a wonder people get it, okay? And the errors that happen and the money that's lost during that training time because they didn't charge the upgrade for this anti-reflective coating or this upgrade for the progressive lens or this, that, and the other thing. So you want to make sure you're looking at that as a whole, as another benefit as well to this. It'll improve your staff retention because it will be an easier day in the office with them. I want to go back to a question that was asked about what about doctors that are starting out their own practices and starting a new practice? Shouldn't we take all plans and so on and so forth? In the past, years ago, I'll tell you, I've been in the advising role now for over 14 years, and it's that was the rule of thumb. Sign up for all of them, fill those books, get those people in the chairs. Well, instead, what you do is you have family and friends come and sit in the waiting room, read books, do some studying there, make it look like the office is busy when you first open up. When I can't tell you the last time I had a doctor under the age of 32 open a brand new practice that didn't include an OCT. An OCT has become standard of care. Why has an OCT become standard care? Because you're doing more medical. You're doing more and more medical, and it's only going to continue to do that, to continue to grow. I have had multiple offices from, again, Minnesota, didn't sign up for any vision plans. She's doing fine. She's celebrating her anniversary this coming weekend. As a matter of fact, she's open 1 year and her revenue is climbing and doing just fine. And she signed on with Anagram day one. Didn't take any vision plans. I have a doctor down in Florida who opened her practice, yes, a year ago again, during the pandemic, right? What a fun time to open a business and wonder how it's going to go. She's doing fine as well. So there are multiple offices that are opened up that are saying, you know what, or they'll say, you know what, I'll only sign up with BSP right now because it is such a big player. Okay, but the other plans, they're really careful in not doing it, because the other thing that this does for you, you have that, we've all seen this happen in offices where the patient checks in for their appointment. Let's just say they're a diabetic for easy conversation. And they say, I'm here and I have this vision plan. Oh, well, actually, Mrs. Jones, I see that you have diabetes. We'll actually bill your Blue Cross Blue Shield, your medical insurance, because this is a medical exam instead. Now, if you're in network with that particular vision plan, it makes for a tougher conversation, because she'll say, well, I only have to pay so much money for my eye exam here. Well, now I'm out of network. We're not in network with that vision plan. So we'll go ahead and do this since we're in network with your insurance plan. The patient's going to say, okay, because they get out of network and in network, and you're not doing any disservice to the patient, because again, that's a medical exam. So it eliminates that whole issue with practice, with that conversation with patients as well. And then the other question that was asked that I'll answer real quick, different structures for specialty contact lenses as well. Yeah, that's a combination of an in-house savings program. But talk to me, Steve. How does Anagram work together with specialty contact lenses on out-of-network benefits?
There aren't, to be honest, a ton of
Okay.
out-of-network benefits for specialty contacts, but I think in the same answer to the previous question, actually, how do you tell patients from the beginning that we don't take their insurance, but they should still come see us? I think the important thing to recognize is, what is your practice? What is your practice? Who are you as a practitioner? What are you trying to provide? I think, to your point, Rick, the industry has been moving towards more medical to provide additional, better, more clinical services to their patients. And I think, provided that we're not trying to be a generalist office, meaning we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. If you do, in fact, specialize, I was actually on a panel with a doctor yesterday who suggested riches and niches. So if you want to make money, find yourself a niche. And I think that it's really important that you do something that you're passionate about as a practitioner. So in the question, if you're interested in specialty contacts, whether that's myopia management or ortho-K or keratoconus stuff, whatever the case is, figure out what it is you want to spend your time doing and find that audience. I think there's a lot of trepidation among ODs, among practices, to do any kind of marketing. Part of it is that marketing is an expense with a nebulous return, right? So it's hard to measure how effective it is. And part of it is because I'm a doctor, I shouldn't be advertising stuff. I'm doing doctor stuff. And I think that combination of things ends up in a kind of paralysis that makes vision plans seem necessary, because they do the marketing for you. But if you think about the expense that goes into accepting that kind of patient, you're writing off 30-40% of your potential revenue for what is essentially a marketing expense. You could spend tens of thousands of dollars less, market yourself as the doctor you are, as the practice you want to be, and find your audience. Once you find one specialty contact lens patient, they're going to tell their friends. If you do a great job, they're going to tell 4 friends. And you do that again and again and again. And Rick, to your earlier point, if you pre-appoint them, by this time next year or 2 years from now, your book will be full in the way you want it to be full, such that you can provide the service you want to provide.
And I'll double back on this contact lens question, the specialty contact lenses. And it's very interesting, NeuroLens, another Acquios Alliance vendor member, that's, if any of you on here have it, I applaud you. It's an amazing instrument. It does great, it delivers a great product that helps people that suffer from headaches. And it's a cash transaction. You're talking about selling glasses between $650 on up to $1,000 or more for a pair of glasses that are going to help somebody with with preventing their headaches. Scleral contact lenses. You are giving people back their sight. I mean, when I'm in offices and I hear a patient picking up their scleral lenses for the first time, and I hear, or they're back for a recheck, and when they see the doctor and they make the comment, oh my gosh, I could see my daughter's face for the first time in her 14 years of life. Okay, that's life changing. You know, don't be shy about what you're doing, and don't be timid about setting an appropriate price on what you offer. You might need to talk about using care credit for some of these specialty lenses and so on. But if you're delivering such a good quality product that is, again, improving the quality of life for your patients, they are willing to pay for it. Again, just because it's not, and again, you include specialty contacts in that vision savings program that I was talking about, creating a network to say, hey, here's what we're going to do for you, because we want to retain your business long term. We want you to come back to us for a lifetime. We don't want you here one and done. And if people are that, based on that, people should be nervous with knowing what two different vision plans are affiliated with. If people are that loyal to their vision plans, then why aren't they going to the locations in the malls that they're owned by? So that they're not loyal to the vision plan. They're loyal to you. They're loyal to you and your staff members and the products that you deliver. And that's very true with private equity. I mean, look at how private equity has bought practices in your markets, and you see an influx of patients coming into you because they didn't want to go to a chain location. They went to a private practice for years. Now it's sold to somebody that is in business not for patient care. Sorry to say that about private equity if anybody in here is listening, but they're there for money. That's what private equity is there, is to flip it. So they're going to invest in it, make money, and then they're going to flip it again. Employees are leaving private equity offices. Patients are leaving private equity offices. Associate doctors are leaving private practice or private equity offices to go into private practices, and they're taking their patient bases with them. Some people get nervous about, where the direction of private practice. Well, the direction of private practice is if you stay independent, you're going to be in great shape. And that again is where Anagram is here to help you be able to do that by opening your doors and saying, yes, come see us. And then we're going to take good care of you once you're in the door and make sure we come up with a fair price for you, for the products and services that you're getting.
If I can add, I think, Rick, you make a really great point in the sentiment around private equity or chain shopping. Now, I might say something slightly controversial here. I'm a millennial, right? I'm an elder millennial, and so, but my generation of the people that I talk to on a regular basis have an incredibly vested interest in shopping local. Like, I don't go to Walmart or Target or what have you if I can avoid it. I prefer to keep my spend closer because that's where the economy stands its most benefit for my community. And I think that sentiment is more prevalent than people give it credit for. People are looking for reasons to shop local. You see that, and if you set up the kind of plan that you're talking about, you give your potential customers a reason to come see you. You give them, you give the employers a reason to talk about your practice. I mean, I would suggest be out in the community as much as possible in general. And I want to take a second to answer a question posed in the Q&A. The question is, what transition time do you recommend to notify the vision plan being dropped and to notify patients that have the vision plan with comprehensive exams scheduled? So I would say there's a couple of things to consider here. Each vision plan that you drop has its own requirement, which is typically 60 to 90 days. And I would suggest that you err on the side of 90 days for a couple of reasons. If it's the first vision plan that you're dropping, you want to give yourself that time to communicate with your existing patients to tell them why. The letter that Rick had mentioned earlier talks about, we're dropping this vision plan because we have a belief in a level of service quality that this vision plan makes us compromise. And I would even suggest not apologizing for it. We're not doing this because we want to say no to you as a patient. We want to say yes to you as a patient, but we also have a standard of care that we don't want to go underneath. We don't want to provide a disservice because your vision plan says we have to.
It was a funny scenario, Steve, was that a doctor that they had dropped multiple vision plans. And when they dropped one of them, a longtime patient calls the office and talks to the manager. And she's very upset because she got the letter notified that they're dropping this plan. And she's been a long-time patient coming in here, and she just can't believe they did this, so on and so forth. The manager it sounds like, did a great job trying to explain and educate the caller about what changes had been made and how things were going to be better for the patient going forward. But the patient just, sometimes they have to vent and get past layer one, and then they get to layer two. And then they talk to the doctor, one of the owners of the practice. And as the doctor is talking to this patient, she realizes, well, this is a patient, we've been billing her medical insurance all these years anyway, because she has a medical diagnosis so they go that route. So she explains, she says, well, actually, we've only used your vision benefit towards your glasses. And actually, I'm doing the math here, and she figured out under their new pricing structure what the glasses would cost the patient versus what it was under the vision plan. She goes, honestly, the glasses that you bought last year will be less expensive if you bought the same frame, same lenses, same coatings this year as you did last year, will be about $60 less than what you paid out of pocket this coming year. And she goes, so what you're saying is I've been wasting my money paying my employer for this benefit? So here's the kicker. She goes back to the employer, the patient does, and said, we need to drop this because, my doctor doesn't take this anymore. And quite honestly, I was spending more money, and she shared that back to the employer. So the human resource person then gets a hold of the office and says, oh, we've had a number of our employees here, and it's a significant employer in their area, say that they use you guys, and you dropped that vision plan, and what can we do here? So what they do, they said, here's what we'll do. We'll create this in-house savings program for you and your employees, because you can do that. You can market an in-house savings program to a business that you are not a provider for. If you sit on a panel for a vision plan, you cannot market to that business. That's very important to know, okay? But they had dropped this plan. So the door was open for them to come in and say to that employer now, hey, here's what we'll do for all your employees. Again, they offer something at no cost to their employee, to the employer, to offer their employees and their families at no cost. That keeps, who's going to pay for something if you take good care of their employees and their families? They're not going to be tempted to bring another vision plan in. It saves them money, and it commits all those people to their office. So it's a win-win situation. So, whether you're in a big city or small town, again, have some confidence in the loyalty and in the relationship you've formed with your patients over the years. And you'll be amazed at how many people will come back. And, I see one of the doctors that's on here, I'm pretty confident he's been in practice for 25 plus years. And I bet he's seen some people that have gotten married, and now he's seeing their kids and potentially there. So, you have a relationship and a history with people that they're willing to commit to and stay with you on.
Right. A couple other things to consider is, exactly to that point, Rick, is that employers will change vision plans for their staff on a dime. Anytime they have to reevaluate their vision plans, their HR offerings for their employees, there might be a big company that you accept a vision plan from who changes their vision plan the next year to one you don't take. And then, if you don't have access to Anagram, for example, you will lose a ton of those patients unless you're communicating with them well. And I think that's something that's really important to crystallize is, if anyone on this panel, anyone listening to this is thinking about dropping a vision plan, and especially if you're thinking about dropping a vision plan for the first time, Part of being successful with that is the training that you provide for your team to be able to communicate the why and the how of dropping the vision plans to your existing patients and to your prospective patients. So I think when I make a suggestion for a practice to drop a vision plan, I always suggest that they start from the bottom up. So if you take a bunch of different vision plans and one of your least favorite ones makes up, let's say, 10% of your patient base, if you drop that vision plan and you lose 100% of those patients, you won't, right? You won't, because they, like you said, Rick, there's loyalty there. They want to come see you. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that you lose 100% of those patients. You still have 90% of your business, and then 10% of your appointment book is now open for private pay patients. Do some marketing. Find your specialty contact patients. Find your vision therapy patients. Fill that time with creating the niche that you say you want.
And you used the four-letter word there, Steve. And right now, Steve's going, no, I didn't. Yeah, you did. You said time. Time is the four-letter word in business. And as a matter of fact, the call before this webinar started, we were talking about this very topic. And right away, one of the two owning doctors says to me, she goes, Rick, I just don't see how we have time for this. I said, and I should have said, you know what? Time is money, though. You're going to be able to work smarter and not so hard. You can reduce your days in clinic and probably see, equal number of patients or same number of patients in 3.5 or 4 days, and utilize that other day for admin time, including networking yourself and marketing your practice. When I talk to marketing professionals and they look at what optometrists across the country spend in marketing, they scratch their heads and go, no business would survive on 5% of their total revenue being spent towards marketing. No company should do that. Again, pat yourselves on the back, but understand the fee you pay to Anagram would be marketing. And one of the things we pride ourselves on at Acquios Advisors is we work not just with with the doctors as our clients, we work with the staff. So to Steve's point, we will help communicate the plan of action and be able to share with them, the employees that is, how this is going to be better, not just for you, the business owner, but for them, and more importantly, for your patients. And the way we do things here with Acquios Alliance as well, when you enroll with Acquios Advisors for consulting or advising, we do a month to month. That monthly fee gets you into the Acquios Alliance, and you're in it for a lifetime. You work with us for a month, you work with us for a lifetime, you're into the Acquios Alliance, you have access to all the vendor members and their savings, because we are pro-private practice. That's why the Acquios Alliance was formed, was to be able to put tools in place and vendors in place to be able to help that are pro-private practice, not going to sell to chains, not selling online. You won't see Essilor, you won't see Luxottica, you won't see Marchand product in the Acquios Alliance, because they are owned by chains and so on and so forth. So I'll get off my spiel on that real quick. But we're here to help you be independent doctors and be successful. And that's what, and again, we're able to help you do this. So I am all for helping doctors gain their freedom and their independence. It can be done. It's a big change. I'm not taking away from that, because you've had vision plans now since 1990 and or so, a little bit before that. And when I started, we only had a couple vision plans that would ever walk through the door, about 94, 95, but then it really took off. And then you just started signing up because we had patients calling who asked if we had it. Oh, okay, yeah, we'll sign up for it. We really didn't do any, to be honest with you, we didn't do a lot of homework on it. We just signed up. And lo and behold, then we were sent that power tower with those cool frames. You can figure out what vision plan I'm referring to there. But it's
interesting to note that for as long as vision plans have existed since 1990, the reimbursements have only gone down.
Right, but cost of doing business has done what? Right. And it's not going to change. I mean, especially when we look at today on forward, look at fuel prices, look at everything, shipping costs are going to go up. Staff expenses are going up, and you have to be smart about your business and manage it accordingly. And like I said earlier, most optometrists say they got into this because they wanted to help people's quality of life and have a balanced life themselves, you can do it. It's just, I think we're at a juncture in this industry where people have to look at themselves and say, what are my core values? What do I want to be? Where am I today? And what do I want to be tomorrow? So back to that question about opening up your own practice. Do you need to sign up for every vision plan? No, you really don't. And you can do it through networking yourself with area professionals in your office or around your office, and be able to utilize services like Anagram to be able to say yes to people calling in for appointments for services with you.
So we've got about 10 minutes left on the webinar, so I want to just put it out there. If you guys have questions, please put them into the chat or what have you, so we can answer them before we wrap up. But I do really appreciate your insight, Rick. I think the way you go about, the way Acquios Advisors goes about this, I think is the right way. There's not a silver bullet for this. Where your practice is in its life cycle is the success of dropping a vision plan is largely dependent on where you are in your life cycle and choosing the right strategy once you identify that. So if you're a cold start and you want to not take any vision plans right off the bat, that's great, but you have to strategize accordingly. You have to make sure that you're getting out there, that patients are able to find you, that businesses are able to find you, that you have a website, that you work on your reputation. I think there are a lot of things that practices sort of overlook, and a lot of it is around marketing, but online reputation is incredibly valuable. 96% of internet searches happen through Google, and most of them happen on a patient's phone. They're going to look up eye doctor near me or optometrist near me, or just optometrist, and let the location sort it out. You need to have a strong online presence. Your SEO has to be on point. You have to be able to tell your practice's story. And I hate to break it to anybody, but saying you sell quality products and provide good service is not a story.
You know, and Steve, before we run out of time here as well, I want to say thank you for, you know, attending this with me today and participating. The conversation back and forth has been great. There's a question here about dropping insurance companies one at a time or what. Okay. Honestly, it depends on the analysis that comes in. And to Steve's point, every office is unique. Every office is different, and every office needs to make their own plan. What works for one will not work for another. And that's, again, there are certain things out there people say, oh, it's very cookie cutter if you work with this organization or that. We would help you analyze where those plans are. And Steve alluded to it and said, if you look at for the bottom performers, you look at and work bottom up. So you start from the bottom, you say, okay, depending how many patients you're seeing on that plan per month, per year, how many patients will it take to replace those plans? We might suggest dropping one at a time. We might say 2 or 3. I've never had a client that I've suggested dropping more than 3 at one time, just because I'm a Midwest guy. I want to make sure it's going to be successful. Your success is my success, and I don't want to have egg on my face. So I'm always going to go the more conservative route. And I can give you an example, though. The reason we dropped 3 in that one office was they were seeing next to none on one of the plans. It was like, no brainer. Then the other 2, the reimbursements were so low, and we knew even losing those patients, the revenue per patient was going to go up just by dropping them and open up a few more slots, per week in the office. And we were confident with their recall reactivation system that's in place, and the reputation the office had in the community. We knew we could replace those patients in a heartbeat, and they never looked back after dropping those, and they continue to drop others. So every office is unique. Every office is unique. So,
I would add just a touch of color to this question. The full question was, do you recommend them dropping one at a time or all at once? And the follow-on was, this is because some of them are fair. And I think that's a really important point to recognize.
sure.
You've evaluated your vision plans and you think one of them is good for your patients and good for your business and good for how you operate, don't drop them. If the numbers make sense, if the time you spend with them works for you and you're getting a fair amount of patients, don't drop anything just because it's trendy. Drop it when it makes sense for your business.
Right.
Although
you may never drop some. You may never drop some.
Right. Exactly.
If it's working well for you, maybe you stay with it. But again, you have to look at your what your goals are and what let me say it this way. Everybody's definition of success is different. Okay. So what you're looking for and what other offices are looking for can be two different things. And that's where you have to be careful of, who you get advice from. Okay. The way you manage a $2+ million practice compared to an office doing 600,000 or less, it's two completely different animals. Mm-hmm. You're going to manage one with, different layers of leadership. Another one, it might be a single layer. So your appointment book, your volume, your overhead, things like that, your location. I mean, California is a pretty tough state to say, let's drop VSP in. Just, right. Just to throw that in the mix to give you an idea of, what seems fair. Again, a doctor challenged me this morning. One of the other calls that I had this morning said, yeah, you'll never get a doctor in California. I said, oh, you never should have said to drop VSP. I said, oh, that's a challenge. Challenge accepted. So Steve, we need to find one. All right. Anybody out there want to volunteer?
Let's go. So I know we're coming up on time. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the special offer that we're putting out for Acquios Alliance members. So right now, wow, this sounds like a sales pitch. So I'm really sorry. But you're going to get, if you sign up before the end of June, practices will get 10% off of their first year of Anagram subscription, off their whole bill. So the way Anagram pricing works currently, it is $95 per location per month, plus 6% of claimed revenue. You will get 10% off of that whole bill every month for 12 months, provided you sign up before the end of June. You've got a link at the bottom of this page. It's get.anagram.care/Acquios. So feel free to go there. We can follow on to this meeting with an email with all the information so you can find it easily. But it's a great opportunity to get in on dropping vision plans and seeing patients on an out-of-network basis at a significant savings.
Very good. Well, from myself and Acquios Alliance and Acquios Advisors, again, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you joining this. I hope to do more of these with you. We're happy to do follow-up phone calls with people that are here. I'm thankful for those of you who attended today to learn more about this opportunity and kind of learn an outline of how to work through everything when analyzing and looking at your vision plans and understanding your profitability per patient in your office. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Steve there at Anagram or myself and our team at Acquios Advisors. We're happy to help you. Thank you very much.
Likewise. And thank you, Rick, for having us. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak about this incredibly important topic. And I want to thank you and Sarah and the team at Acquios for all the work you guys do with us. You're phenomenal partners, but I think the work you do for the industry cannot be overstated how valuable it is. So thank you for that as well.